Welcome to our podcast. How long has it been since you truly laughed? Welcome to today's podcast. You know, there's something magical about laughter, something we don't think about much. It just happens. You hear a joke, you see something ridiculous, someone makes a silly face, and suddenly, there it is. That rush of joy, that moment where everything feels lighter. Laughter. It's one of the purest, most human things we do. And yet, most of us don't even realize how powerful it is. Think about it. When was the last time you laughed so hard your stomach hurt? So hard you couldn't catch your breath? So hard you forgot, just for a second, everything that was weighing you down? Moments like that don't just feel good. They do good. They change you. They change the people around you. They change the way life feels. Scientists will tell you that laughter releases endorphins, lowers stress hormones, improves circulation. All true. It's like free medicine. But you don't need science to know that laughing makes life better. You feel it. And it's not just about happiness. It's about connection. Watch what happens in a room when someone starts laughing. Really laughing. It spreads. People who were just sitting there, lost in their own thoughts, suddenly wake up. Their shoulders relax. Their faces soften. They join in. For a moment, there's no stress, no awkwardness, no overthinking. Just people sharing something real. That's the thing. Laughter isn't just a reaction. It's a bridge, a shortcut to understanding each other. It breaks tension. It makes strangers feel like friends. It turns the hardest moments into something bearable. Even in grief, even in pain, laughter finds a way in. It doesn't erase the sadness, but it gives it space. It reminds us that life is never just one thing. It's loss and love, struggle and joy, heartbreak and humor, all at once. And sometimes, in the middle of the mess, all you can do is laugh. And then there's the kind of laughter that stays with you. The kind you hear in your head years later. Maybe it's the sound of someone you lost. Maybe it's a moment so ridiculous you still can't believe it happened. Maybe it's just the way someone used to say your name. Little echoes of joy, tucked away in the past, waiting to remind you that you were here, that you felt something, that life wasn't just a list of things to do, but a collection of moments, some of them so absurd, so full of light that they had to be laughed at. So why don't we laugh more? Somewhere along the way, we start taking things too seriously. Ourselves, mostly. We start thinking laughter has to be earned, that we need a reason to let go. That being serious means being strong. But real strength? It's knowing when to drop the weight, when to let joy in, when to laugh. Not because everything is perfect, but because it isn't. Because the world is ridiculous and unpredictable, and completely out of our control. And sometimes the best thing we can do is throw our heads back and let out the loudest, messiest, most unfiltered laugh possible. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe laughter isn't about forgetting our problems, but facing them differently. Maybe it's not about ignoring pain, but making room for something else too. And maybe, just maybe, the happiest people aren't the ones with the easiest lives, but the ones who find the humor, who look for it, who hold on to it like a lifeline. Because in the end, life is funny. Even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when nothing makes sense. And if we can remember that, if we can laugh even then, maybe we'll be okay. And you know what's fascinating? Laughter has this strange, almost rebellious quality to it. It refuses to ask for permission. It just bursts out, even in places it shouldn't. Ever been in a serious situation, a meeting, a funeral, a moment of absolute silence, and for some reason, something small, something absurd, makes you want to laugh? You try to hold it in, but that just makes it worse. Your shoulders start shaking. Your brain is screaming, not now, not here, but your body doesn't care. That's because laughter isn't polite. It doesn't wait for the right time. It doesn't care about rules, it just is. And maybe that's why it feels so good. Because it's one of the few things in life that's completely unfiltered. It's honest. It's real. And if you really pay attention, you'll notice something else. The people who laugh the most, they aren't always the ones with the easiest lives. Sometimes they're the ones who've seen the hardest things. The ones who've walked through the fire. The ones who should be bitter. But instead, they're the ones making everyone else laugh. They're the ones cracking jokes in the hospital room, finding humor in the chaos, making light of the things that could have broken them. Why? Because laughter is survival. It's resilience. It's looking life in the face and saying, "You don't scare me." It's proof that no matter what's happened, no matter how dark things have been, there's still something inside that refuses to give up, that still wants to play, that still believes in joy, And here's something else to think about. Laughter doesn't need a reason. Not really. Sure, jokes help. Funny stories, clever punchlines. But the deepest, most uncontrollable laughter, it comes from the unexpected. The way someone phrases a sentence, a look, a shared moment of absurdity that nobody else would understand. It's not about what is funny, it's about who you're laughing with. That's why the best memories aren't just about places or events. They're about the people who made you laugh until you cried. The ones who saw the world the same weird way you did. The ones who made ordinary days feel like something special, just because of how ridiculous they were. And here's something strange. The older we get, the less we laugh. Studies show that children laugh hundreds of times a day. Adults, not even close. It's like we unlearn it. We trade laughter for logic, for responsibility, for the illusion of control. We tell ourselves we don't have time, that life is too serious, that we'll laugh later, when things settle down, when everything is in place. But later never comes. So what if we didn't wait? What if we started laughing now? What if we found humor in the small things, in the everyday nonsense, in our own mistakes? What if instead of seeing laughter as an escape, we saw it as a way in, a way into life, into the messiness of it, into the beauty of not having all the answers? Because laughter isn't just something we do. It's a way of seeing, a way of moving through the world, a way of reminding ourselves that no matter how hard life gets, no matter how many things go wrong, there will always be something worth laughing about. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. And here's something most people never think about. Laughter has a rhythm. It's almost musical. The way it starts, the way it builds, the way it spreads from one person to another, like a melody that everyone somehow knows. You ever notice how some people have these contagious laughs? Not just the polite chuckles or the little exhale through the nose kind of laugh, but the real ones, the full body, can't breathe, tears in the eyes kind. The kind that, when you hear it, you start laughing too, even if you don't know why. That's because laughter isn't just sound. It's energy. It carries something with it. And when it's real, you feel it. And the best part? Laughter has no language, no barriers. It doesn't matter where you're from, what you believe, what kind of day you've had. When something is truly funny, everyone understands. You don't need a translator for a baby's giggle. You don't need subtitles for a perfectly timed expression that sends a whole room into hysterics. That's the magic of it. Laughter reminds us that beneath all the labels, beneath all the differences, we're more alike than we realize. And yet, for something so natural, so instinctive, so deeply human, we treat it like an afterthought, like a luxury, like something we'll get to if the day goes well, if the work gets done, if life decides to be kind. But what if we flipped that? What if laughter wasn't the reward but the starting point? What if we didn't wait for life to be perfect to let ourselves enjoy it? Because here's the truth. Laughter doesn't happen because everything is great. It happens despite everything. It happens in hospital rooms, in war zones, in the middle of heartbreak. Not because people are ignoring reality, but because they refuse to let reality steal everything. Because sometimes, in the heaviest moments, the only way to stop from collapsing under the weight of it all is to laugh. Not to dismiss the pain, but to remind yourself that it doesn't own you. And maybe that's why laughter catches us off guard sometimes. You ever been on the verge of tears? Overwhelmed, exhausted, ready to give up. And then, out of nowhere, someone says something, does something, and suddenly, against all logic, you're laughing. That moment right there, that's proof. Proof that even when life is pushing you down, there's something inside you that pushes back. But here's the catch. Laughter needs space. It needs permission. And too often we don't give it any. We bury ourselves in stress, in seriousness, in the idea that adulthood means keeping a straight face. We forget to play, to be silly, to let go, and then we wonder why life feels heavy. But look at the people who stay young at heart, the ones who don't just survive, but actually live. What do they all have in common? It's not money, not status, not luck. It's their ability to laugh, to find humor in themselves, in the absurdity of life, in the little moments most people overlook. Because in the end, that's what laughter really is. It's not an escape. It's an anchor. It's a way of saying, I'm still here. I'm still breathing. And no matter what happens, I'm not done finding joy. Thanks for your time. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give it a thumbs up. Also, feel free to share your thoughts or any questions you have in the comments below.